All right, citizens of Twitch, are you prepared? Are you ready? Welcome to Why We Go Live. How's it going? We have Maddie Bratty, and we have Ute, and we have Iron Biscuit, and we have Aprikitkat, obviously. I'm going to introduce her in a minute. We have Diversion, we got Brick, we got Smashinator, we got new say-hows. My dad's here, guys. Say hi. Say hi, Abbers' dad. We got, who else we got? So many beautiful people. Did I say hello to everyone? I hope I said hello to everyone. Hi. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited. So if you're new around here, I'm Abbers. I play video games sometimes. But today we're doing something new. I'm very excited. This is the first ever episode of Why We Go Live, a podcast where an amateur streamer, me, interviews other streamers, you all, about streaming. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna start by introducing our first guest by showing you a little clippy clip. Just, oh my God, the hair. Can we talk about it? We can't, we don't have time, but thank you. So I'm gonna show you a clip to let you know kind of what our first guest is all about, and then we'll get into it, okay? Fair warning, if you are someone who likes to sub or throw bits at me so that talk to text shows up, the text to speech shows up, it's all disabled today because I want to honor and respect our guest and respect her time. So just FYI, if the text to speech thing is important to you, save it for another stream, okay? All right, without further ado, here's a little clip to show you more about Aprikitkat. Hey guys, there's no audio because I fucked up. You guys are great. Thank you. I'm going to start it over. Thank you for letting me know. No audio. We need audio, obviously. All right, 2 seconds. Rewind it, reverse it, pretend that never happened, okay? Okay? Guys, it never happened. Here's a clip.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kat. I'm part of the hardcore community.
Alright, I'm deleting her.
But I also enjoy silliness.
What are they doing? Do you see them? What? I've been playing Feral Druid for 17 years. I finished next as number 5 in the world. I've also completed challenge 1 to 60 as a druid, and I did the world first 70 hardcore druid as well.
If you want this cat, please take it.
I'm a lobster.
I feel like when I smile with fangs, it looks menacing.
They kind of squish a dog. They like it. Like, Pico kind of likes it too. Like when I like.
Don't eat the stuff! Annie's makes great snacks for adults and gamers alike. Everybody likes bunnies. Thank you for sharing your life with me. I don't know what else to say.
Good night. I love you.
Aw, it's such a cute video. I love it so much. Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary pals
Welcome
and
everyone,
non-binary,
Kat.
non-gender non-conforming icons, I'd like to introduce you to Aprikitkat. Boo, 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 boo. Aprikitkat, welcome. How are
Hi.
you?
So good. So good.
So good. Thank you for being here. I am honored. I'm very excited. Let's just jump into it. So, do you remember the first time that you streamed?
Yeah, I do. Oh my god.
When was that?
It was in October 2019. I just celebrated my 3-year streaming anniversary last week.
Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
bringing this back to that moment and maybe just like a few weeks or months leading up to that, what was your thought process in deciding that you wanted to start streaming?
Um, so at the time I was in a very non-supportive relationship and I felt really alone. This was pre-pandemic, but barely. Like it was the winter before. And I started to play Classic WoW and um I was like, "Hey, I would like to make some friends, but I'm having a hard time making friends on a server because um I don't know, it's like shy and it's hard. Classic WoW, it was kind of like hard to make friends when you missed that initial wave of like all the leveling people, right?
Hmm.
So everyone was 60 already. They were in Molten Core, and I was like 24.
That's very
So
relatable.
yeah, it's I had people messaging me like, "Cat, we haven't seen you in 2 weeks," and I'm like, "I'm just trying to get cat form in World of Warcraft Classic," because it like took that long, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I decided to start streaming to maybe just make some people to talk to while I was going through this very arduous journey. I had been playing retail before that for like all these years, obviously, because we didn't have Classic then.
Right.
And leveling took 8 hours from one to max level. It wasn't this journey, and this journey was like it was 8 hours to get from 40 to 41. So I was just really lonesome. I was really lonesome, and I
Yeah.
just started. I pressed go live one day just to talk to maybe see if I would make some friends.
Nice. And did you?
It's funny is that when you play WoW for 17 years, a lot of your friends are curious what you look like.
Yeah, it's true. That's a really good point. Yeah. Is there a story behind your screen name?
There is actually, um, not this specifically, but how I got the name Aprikitkat actually has a really nice story. So for most of my WoW life, I was a swamp monster.
I love that.
I was a
It'd be
I
so
was a
different if you
tauren.
were Swamp Monster now.
I know. Well. So here's the thing. I don't think there's a lot of like women who want to be called a swamp.
I'm totally into it. I'm here for it
And
personally, but I'm a
that's fair.
weirdo.
That's fair. And in as now as much more mature adult, I would laugh and revel in it. But
Hmm.
as a very insecure kind of like 18-year-old trying to fit in with a group of mostly males that played this game at the time, being called a swamp was just kind of asking for trouble. So I
Yeah.
switched my name to Apricot. But the reason why that I switched it to that was because I grew up on a tiny RP server called the Twisting Nether. It was the RP PvP server of like the retail servers, but through Classic to all the way up to this point, I've pretty much been on that server. And there was always this Tauren hunter whose name was Apricot, and she would never kill me. It was PvP. No matter where you were, you could die, but she never killed me. We would always kind of like emote at each other and wave and whatnot. Um, and I found out on the forums that she was kind of just an older woman, kind of just by herself, and that she ended up passing away. So I took her name to honor her, and
Mm,
I hope that's okay with her. But
yeah.
I think
That's
it
really
is.
sweet. That's really cool. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you first started how long it took you to get to affiliate?
I had the average viewers in the first week, but I didn't have 50 followers for about a month. Um, I like begged my real life friends to make accounts. This is like at this time, Twitch was still accessible. People were finding out about it. There'd been people doing it for a long time and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say I would say about like summer of 2019, pre-pandemic, people's awareness of Twitch was still much lower. Even I mean, it's still low now, but it was even lower then. And my friends are like, "What's a Twitch? Why do you want me to make an account? Like, do I
Uh-huh.
have to make an account?" Um, so I think it took me about a month to hit affiliate. I never knew that that was gonna be like a changing point in my life, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you talk about your IRL friends. I'm always curious, like, how, what do people in your IRL life know about your streaming? Kind of what do they know? What do they think about your streaming?
Yeah, so I convinced my best friend to start streaming because that I was I was having so much fun with it.
Same.
And
I did the same thing.
nice. Yeah, so I don't know, like I'm sure you know of Lizard Pie Pants, but she's my best friend. She saved my life multiple times from depression and sadness and helping me make the right choice when I wanted to make the bad one and whatnot. And she means the
Mhm.
world to me. I wouldn't be here without her. Um, and she does stream now, sporadically because children and life and all that. But
Sure.
I'm gonna make her famous.
Nice. Anyone else in your life know about it?
I would say like most of the people who talk to me on a more regular basis know about it.
Sure.
Like my father doesn't really understand, but he's supportive. And my mom comes to the stream sometimes when she remembers, and she
Hmm.
says hi.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny. I posted to my own personal Facebook, like, "Hey, I'm gonna be on the method page with thousands of people watching me," and were like, "That's so cool. Make sure you get an extra copy of the newspaper."
Yep. Nice. That's again
Yeah.
very relatable. What kind of people do you generally find come to your streams? What kind of people tend to find you?
I don't. I can't say who finds me so much as like who sticks.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I actually don't grow very well. Um, I think because that my environment isn't just this sort of like, oh, it's really easy to hang out here. Like we talk about controversial topics. We talk about adult topics. We talk about very sensitive or emotional, heavy topics sometimes. We try to keep it, you know, fair and light as much as possible. But I have
Hmm.
ended streams in tears. I've ended streams, feeling like I don't know how I can continue to do this
Yeah.
sometimes because I'm not a therapist and I can't help everybody. But the people that stick are really just people. I think Cookie put it best. I really wish that I had his quote for it, but it the people whose hearts are a little broken that need somewhere to
Mm.
to be to feel safe and loved, and the community that sticks is so accepting and welcoming and kind and includes people into the inside jokes and into the conversation. People say hi to each other. People say hi to each other in other people's streams, even when I'm not there, but I'm watching. And it's like these are real friends. It's just so like amazing to see.
Yeah.
Um, and I had been mentioning this to my people as well, but Abbers and I share the largest percent of similar community out of anyone on Twitch. Like for any other streamer, it's me and you,
Yeah.
and that just goes to show we foster a similar community of like-minded people who like to laugh hard and like to feel a lot as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I am honored. I think that's such a fun fact and like such a that there are certain metrics that I think are like, oh, I don't want to think about it, but that's one that I'm like,
yeah,
I love that.
when I see
um,
it's with people that I love, I'm just like, we're doing it right
yeah,
now.
totally.
Oh,
Kind of
there it is. It's a depot for broken hearts, kind souls, and support against all odds.
cute. I like
Or
that. I like that
like
a
a
lot.
bathtub for your soul.
Beautiful. Kind of related. What is the kind of impression that you hope you leave on people when they do find your stream for the first time?
Yeah, so that's really difficult for me because I think success is measured in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I change my mind on what I want success to be too often. But my hope is to be genuine, to be kind, to be professional, and to be silly, and kind of like all of that in between, right?
Yeah.
Like what I really appreciate about my channel trailer is you get the silly, you get the dorky, the memes, the embarrassing, but you also get the like I have done hard things. I have proven that I'm a good gamer or a capable, presenter or whatnot. Um, but that's not the only thing that I want. And it probably isn't even the most important metric necessarily,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's really hard when people invalidate your ability for being like a personality rather than a, a professional, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, and it's interesting too when your profession, and this for you is your profession, correct? This is
It is.
now this is
Yep.
how you make your money. So it's interesting too, I think, when your profession in so many ways is your personality. That's got to be for me as someone who streams, and it's not my profession, but there's something about recognizing that like a big part of why people hang out is because of who I inherently am. And so when that's your profession as well, I'm curious what is your experience with that like?
Um, it's difficult for me to juggle.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to like constantly be proving that I'm not just a personality,
Mm,
or like I'm not just creating an environment that's safe, because I want to have that that balance. But I think when it comes down to it, I have a really interesting chat that's very like able to get trolls to leave really fast. So I don't really have a lot. I I banned two people in the past 6 months from
yeah.
my stream, and I gained 2,000 followers in the past year. So I mean, to only ban two people is wild. It really shows the environment that we've created, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like I I ban people often. So that's I mean that's really lovely to hear. Speaking of trolls, how do you deal with trolls? What kind of experiences have you had with trolls?
Um, Man, I guess I'm really so lucky. I don't know if it has anything to do with myself or maybe my demeanor in general, that they're just kind of not attracted to it. But
Mm.
um, we did have one, and is it okay if I kind of specifically explain the situation?
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
So I am the type of person who dresses for me. And whether that be an oversized hoodie and sweatpants, or a cute top, with a low cut cleavage, and whatever. So I had a troll come in, and they're like disgusting. Why do women always feel it's necessary to show cleavage in order to get
Jesus.
views? And I just like sat very quietly, and the chat was like, Anon, shut up. We never get booba. Now leave. And they never came back.
That's amazing. Yeah.
We
You
still
gotta have a
laugh
good
about it
chat
to
on your
this
side.
day.
It's
They really
hilarious.
are.
That's
They were like,
beautiful.
don't you dare take that from us.
Yes, I
And
love
I
that. Good
cracked
job,
up. I
chat.
cracked up.
Nice. Good work. Good work. Proud of you. That's incredible. Um,
But
you
yeah, the trolls are really minimum. And I guess, you wish you would have more growth, but my growth feels like it's the correct kind of growth, rather than just hundreds of follows a day for the wrong reasons.
sure. Yeah. Well, and so you got affiliate within about a month, and then how long? What was your journey like getting to partner? Because you were partnered what last year? I want to say.
January of this year, so in
Wow.
January I'll celebrate my 1 year partner. Um, I would say that because it wasn't my full time job at that point, my journey really became visible through hardcore.
Mm,
First of all, hardcore Discord bringing a couple hundred people into that are playing the same game mode on all the same server, right? For the most part, when hardcore started, it was really just North America kind of in the Discord,
hmm.
at least in my experience. And they came to play on my server, which was Bloodsail Buccaneers. Before I even knew what hardcore was, I had ran into Nam Nam in the wild, and I said, "What the fuck is this warrior doing? He's using a staff at level 46. Why doesn't he have like a sword or an axe?"
I love
And
hardcore.
I whispered, "Yeah, I know exactly what quest it is now. It's the Tenaris one where you get the Staff of Lore." And that's so funny because at the time I would have never known, you couldn't have paid me $1 billion to guess the name of the weapon. But
Hmm.
I whispered him, and I'm like, "Dude, do you need some money? Like, I'll buy you a sword. Like, I can't watch a warrior use a staff." And he's like, oh, I'm doing this like solo self-found mode. It's called hardcore. And I was like, oh, gross. Why would anyone ever do that?
Mhm. Mhm.
2 weeks later, I had started my first character, which I actually got to 40, my first ever try.
Nice.
So in that journey, I started at like 10 viewers, and then as hardcore kind of like picked up, and I networked, and I made friends, and Nam Nam and I did that like rogue duo, and we hit 60, and we made friends with Cargos and with Winky and with Cricks and stuff. Um, our numbers were like slowly ticking up, 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 up. Um, and then what happened that changed my life really was the streamer cup, the hardcore um draft, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what you
For
would call
Seasons of
that?
Mastery. Mhm.
Yeah. um I think it was the day that they said, hey, this person is better than so many of these other people at this, that there was a lot of people who like, well, who's that? So Stay Safe rated me that day. I got 900 new followers in one day,
Wow.
which was insanity. I
It's
mean,
overwhelming, I imagine.
it was. I had to silence my entire notifications.
Wow.
And then this is the first time in my life I'm going through and I'm like doing my pick, right? Because everybody was like, you could win Power Gum and whatever. So you picked like who you think would win. And I'm doing this in front of 4,000 people watching me going, I don't know who Snacky Box is. I don't know who this person who has 250K followers is. And they're like,
Mhm.
really? You don't know? And I'm like, I don't know. I just work here, man. Like, I'm brand new at streaming. I shouldn't have 4,000 people watching me right now. But that was the moment that changed my career, really.
And how were you able to determine like, okay, now I can make this my actual career. Like now is a time to like turn this into my way that pay rent and pay bills and all of that.
Um, I had I had been primarily streaming as my main source income before that, because I had actually slipped and fallen down the stairs in January. And that event happened, I believe, in like August, no, October, or August, September. Um, I was I was working full time as a bartender waiter, and I slipped down the stairs and I ripped my ACL. And
Oof.
my boss was like, "I need you to come in and work on crutches." And I'm like, "Doing what? I'm a
Yeah.
waitress. I can't like carry food while I'm crutching myself
Yeah.
around."
Yeah.
So she fired me for that, and I received that COVID unemployment, which really like helped me to get my setup and commit to it. It put enough in my pocket to pay my bills for a few months
Yeah.
so that I could really focus on that. So by the time that this had occurred, um, this big raid and all these new people watching me and whatnot, I was already pretty much at that point. It was just the solidified decision to go, you know what, I'm going to put all of my focus and energy into this now. And in some ways, I have no idea if that was the right choice, because this is the hardest job I've ever done. I know
Mm.
that people think, oh, you just play video games and
Yeah.
talk to people all day. But the emotional toll, good and bad, that it has put on me as a human has forced me to grow, but also like forced me to check myself in so many ways as well.
Mm.
I mean, you are your own business owner. You have to work. You have to learn outside of your work. You have to do things for yourself to build your business, and it's something that takes a lot of dedication that I didn't have at first.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something that people don't really think about and don't fully realize like what all goes into it. What are some things that have kind of surprised you in terms of getting partner and what that's been like and making this your profession?
That no matter how much you think that you can expect anything, you never can.
Mm, yeah.
It's really, I went from averaging 150 viewers to 30 to 75 to 11, and it's not, you can't quantify it to any reason. You could be like, oh, it was summer, but maybe half of your people really just were burnt out, or
Sure.
oh, maybe they just didn't have internet and you don't know their financial situation, or
Sure.
like they just there's no um stability, which is really hard for a person like me. Like I have adult ADHD, um, and I am really like I thrive with like structure and stability, and this
Mhm.
is so chaotic to me. Like to never know how much money I'm gonna be making, or how many people to expect, or like how many prizes to pick out for giveaways, because who knows how many. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely just throwing me for a loop. But I think
Yeah.
that's helped me because of my stringentness
Yeah,
in its
on the
own way.
ADHD front, I can relate, and I think it's interesting because it's like I thrive with structure and I resent it all at the same time. And
It's
do you know what I mean?
exactly, I think 100%. And like I can have a plan for a stream and I'll be like, this is what I want to do. And then I'll just be
Hmm.
like, bonk,
Hmm.
nothing was accomplished. So
Totally. Well, and like you said, you just have to be prepared in so many ways for things to not go the way you planned at all, in good ways and in
always,
bad ways, I think, right?
always,
Oh,
always,
speaking of, here comes my cat.
right?
Talking about numbers and the algorithm and all of these different kind of things. What is your relationship to the numbers and to the metrics part of streaming?
It does really actually affect my emotional well-being, which I wish that I could pull myself away from.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's hard for any person, regardless of your profession, to say, how come people don't like me anymore? Right?
Mm,
And I don't think that's the case. And I really don't. But you can't help but to feel vulnerable, because I'm not selling a product, right?
yeah.
I'm selling myself. And that
Hmm.
is the most vulnerable thing that you can offer to the universe, is like your true self.
Yeah.
Um, I try to do my best to always remember that some days are going to be amazing and some are going to be slow. Some days I'm going to make money and some days we're just going to hang out and talk and have, you know, it's just a day. I, in the end, I always I always come out with my head above water.
Hmm.
Um, but I do have to be honest that when you are selling yourself as the product, it could be difficult to think to yourself like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very vulnerable. It's not to even like sound like pity me please or anything. You know what I mean?
No, I
It's
think it's
just
very
I think
natural.
yeah, I think a lot of people have a fear of rejection, and in its own right, this is kind of rejection therapy to some extent. You also get that like other end of it as well, where you're like, wow, I've accomplished so much and I'm very proud of myself. So it's not constantly negative, I guess, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like you get
Totally.
you get your positive reinforcement with your sort of rejection therapy, which I think is a healthy thing to go through as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like in so many ways you're saying it's really hard to separate this idea of your worthiness, your worth, and how great you are from the numbers. Is that, am I kind of hearing you correctly?
It's not that I'm unable to. I think it's just very human nature to
Totally.
see trends and try to apply them to some sort of logic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
if it's math and it's math, then math makes sense. Y- But really there's so much involved in why why do these things change, or maybe things behind the scene you don't even know about, right? Like maybe Twitch that day just doesn't count people. Nobody
Totally.
knows.
Yeah.
Um but when you are a business, if a business isn't, if you're not, like if you're not selling your candles, then you can't stay in business. So
Right.
of course you have to keep some sort of like traction on it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's just realistic. Yeah. Have you found anything that has helped you in terms of kind of making peace with the numbers and being able to take care of yourself within that kind of fluctuation?
uh okay, so like as numbers specifically, what I tend to do to protect myself is just to remind myself that it's over a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some days you might have this many and then the next day you have this many. As long as you're not focusing on every single day, and it's hard not to, but
Yeah.
as long as you're not focusing every day, you're looking at it as an overall, am I still growing or am I at least maintaining? And even if you're not maintaining and you're going down, are the core people that are there that support me and love me showing up, then why do I need more? It's
Yeah,
quality versus quantity.
totally. Yeah. When you look at how your stream started and what your stream is like now, what are some things that have stayed the same? What is different? What has been the evolution of your stream so far?
I almost wish that like someone could step in and answer that for me that's been around from the start. But I will say that I think I, as an entertainer and a chatter, have really, really improved. When I used to first start streams, I would never just be the big camera and talk to people. I would always just be like already in the game, getting my stuff ready to do my little hardcore adventures, whatever, and kind of more on the like, yeah, we can talk, but like less personal, one-on-one, kind of just chatting vibes.
Yeah.
So I definitely have noticed that my ability to kind of just talk and entertain and be silly and have fun with people has improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the professionality of my raid has or my stream has um, gone sideways, but in a different way.
What do you mean?
I think that if you were new to my stream, you wouldn't assume that I have accomplished anything ever in
Hmm.
terms of like my gaming career. But you would say this person's not brand new at streaming. I can tell that they've been doing this for a while at least. So
Yeah. Well, and this idea of being a gamer and being someone that's kind of taken seriously for your skills at WoW Classic and just WoW in general, um, it's interesting to kind of take note of this idea that maybe people don't recognize that right off the bat. Why do you think that is?
honestly, I think a lot of people don't think women are good gamers.
Totally. Yep.
I think that, and for I hate to say this, but people expect women streamers to kind of be cozy atmosphere
Mm.
streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I love those. I love those kind of streams. One of my favorite streamers is a little English girl that plays a moonkin and she loves tea and everything. And just her whole stream is always just cozy, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um it's really unfortunate that that's the case, and I do see a lot of women and women presenting gamers coming forward and saying I'm better or as good as the boys, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of love that. I wish it wasn't that way in an ideal world, but as it is, um, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I love to say like the women of hardcore have done more than the boys. Sorry,
Yeah.
you know, like we're the harder core gamers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think it's interesting too, this idea of like, I don't know, yeah, being a woman in streaming, being a woman in gaming, and kind of how that shows up, and how people interact with that. Are there other aspects of your identity or parts of your kind of cultural upbringing or just who you are that show up in stream in different ways?
um, I'm kind of like a don't take any bullshit for for people. Like, okay, I I am pandemic. I don't really care about anything but your heart, and I that's just how I identify. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever you identify as or whatever's in your pants, that's your problem, and I'll deal with it if I love you.
Your problem. I
Um,
love that.
isn't it though?
It's your
Isn't it?
problem.
It's
I've always
always
thought of it as that's your business, but I love that's your problem. No, I think that's great.
I'll have if a troll comes in and says, "Oh, are you trans?" I'll be like, "Yeah,"
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh." They don't know how to respond to that. Like I have a no tolerance policy for people's not acceptance. I guess
Yeah.
like this is my bar, right?
Hmm.
Like if you're a bartender, your stream is your bar. Like I have my regulars. Who are you to even try to insult me or my regulars? Like
Yeah.
be gone.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's one thing that I think that is really apparent, I guess, in my stream is I tag myself with the LGBTQ plus the ADHD neurodiverse tags quite often, and it's I want it to be that place where if you're a little weird, that's cool. Like so are we. Come join us. Be our
Yeah.
weirdos.
Totally. What is the line that you kind of draw between your personal like self, your personal life, and then your stream life? Or is there a line? How does that get blurred for you? What is your experience of that?
Yeah, so I have a hard time separating, um, especially like the feelings of my very close community from my days off. It could be
Mm,
very difficult. I've allowed myself to kind of be available, and recently I have had to kind of pull back on that and just say I need to protect myself. I can't be your therapist. I can't help everybody, and I also can't be in 500 places.
sure.
Um, it's hard. I think what people kind of expect but don't realize is it can be very difficult to prioritize every one of your friends every day. So many people are like, "Well, I'm very important and Kat talks to me all the time, but if I don't say anything for a day, that like they're like, "Well, what did I do wrong or
Mm,
why hasn't she checked in with me?" And it's I sometimes just need to be with Liz. I just sometimes need to be with my family or my chickens, and I'm not able to always be available. That was very difficult for me to realize that I needed to do for myself for a very long time,
sure.
especially because I never want anyone to feel alone. And I always say, if you're going through a hard time, my DMs are open. I can help you try to find resources or I can just listen.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened that really set that off was I had someone trauma dump some very illicit SA stuff onto me without permission. They just did it out of context and with no consent, and it caused me to have a breakdown. And I just like I'm not here to save the world, you know.
Yeah.
I can't. So that was
Yeah.
really the moment where I had to learn to separate that for myself.
Yeah. And that's hard. That's hard to be emotionally available, and like you're very clearly an empathetic, compassionate person, and so wanting to have those kind of react or interactions, like I can relate to that, because I know that like on some level those are really like lovely moments, and at the same time, like you said, there are moments where it's like that's a lot of emotional labor, and emotional labor that you might not feel equipped to offer for whatever reason, how do you, it sounds like this is something that you've struggled with in the past and are getting better at. How do you make those boundaries? How do you decide how to kind of like navigate those interactions?
Um, I usually have a tendency to just say, I'm closing down my DMs for the day.
Hmm.
We can continue this conversation at a later time, or hey, I'm going to go be present with my people now.
Yeah.
And I have to say that sometimes. And I went out for food with Liz and her family the other night, and I had about 10 different people trying to talk to me and whatnot, and just about their day and their feelings and whatever. And I had to say like, I need to go be present now for
Yeah.
my people, and
Yeah.
they respect that. And if they don't, then I guess that's on them.
Yeah.
That's their problem, kind of thing.
Totally.
So
Yeah. Do you ever feel pressure to stream or anxiety around streaming?
100%.
Yeah.
I was very sick yesterday. It was a normal day on for me, but I took the day off. I had a fever of 100, 101 almost. I took a COVID test. I did not feel good. And I changed some medicines in my life and whatnot. And it was just kind of like a slurry of bad choices.
Mm.
Not bad choices, but bad feelings. And I also will not be streaming tomorrow because that I have a doctor's appointment. And you always worry like, what if people forget about me?
Mm.
What if I didn't go live for 3 days straight? Are they gonna ever come back?
Yeah.
Um, so of course there's anxiety about that. I'm just like a chihuahua, like shaking sometimes. So I have probably more than the average person who just goes, oh whatever, like I'll just go live and whoever shows up shows up. But
Sure.
I even I even heard Stay Safe say this, who, he's like a huge streamer in the scheme of stuff, right? He said, I took 2 days off and I didn't know if anyone was gonna come back. And it's like, of
Hmm.
course they are.
Right.
Um, so I think no matter how big or small you are, there's always that sort of just like imposter syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
are people gonna forget me? Like, when do I become not relevant anymore? And I think
Mm.
that's a difficult thing, especially on the internet, is that we consume content and news and stories and events so fast and
Yes.
move to the next one that you never know like when's gonna be the point where nobody cares anymore, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's different when it's a stream versus just a story or a news article or something like that. But I think we all kind of know that in the back of our heads, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's easier, you kind of pointed out, like you can see for other people, like, oh, you're gonna be fine. Of course people are gonna go back. But it's hard for yourself to like remember these things in the moment, right?
I think what it comes down to is that when you're vulnerable, it's easy. Like when you're vulnerable as a human, it's very
Hmm.
easy to have self-esteem issues that are based, like on fluctuations of your emotions. Like how
Sure.
are you feeling that day? So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do you have any streamers who are kind of like inspirations for you or streamers that you look up to?
I have a lot, and I would be really unfair to specifically name um like one or two or anything like that. So,
That's
if
fair.
there's anyone specific who I've said is someone in the past that I appreciate, don't take any offense to it, but um I admire the people who go live no matter what. I
Hmm.
admire the people who are always genuinely themselves no matter the pressure. I admire people who stand up for what they believe in no matter whether it has anything to do with money or anything like that. Um, and I admire people with compassion who choose kindness always, even when times are really hard. And
Yeah.
I would say those are the four main um, tropes for, and when they can combine that, it's like the Picasso.
Love it. Love it. What are some of your passions and hobbies, things you do outside of streaming?
I like every kind of art except for music, which I wish I understood, but because it's math, I just don't. But
Hmm.
I love cooking. I love photography. I love painting. I do a lot of poetry and prose and character sketches and short stories and whatnot.
Cool.
Most of them are very private and personal, but I'm hoping to do so this is a unique to me sort of art style. I've made poetry that's made with HTML, so it has different colors and it's moving and it changes directions and it goes back and forth and it's very visual and it's something you can't get with pen and paper. So I'm hoping to make a little website of just kind of like almost like an eclectic ebook,
I
right?
love
I
that.
just don't know how to do all of it by myself. So
Totally. That's great though. I hope you are able to figure that out because that sounds amazing. I'd love to check that out. Oh. Let's see. I think we talked a little bit about this, but just in general, when you first started streaming and even now, what are some things that have surprised you about streaming?
um the generosity of strangers is the
Mm,
first one. I sometimes all the world needs is someone to just be nice to them,
yeah.
right? Um, I had somebody join my stream and go, I'm just a crabby old man and you probably should just ban me. And me be like, that's okay, you're my crabby old man. And
Mm.
then they bought me a computer, like
Wow.
the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and if you would have told me that someone would have donated me $2,000 to buy a computer, like I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. That's
Right.
impossible.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the first thing. On the opposite end of that is just how absolutely disgustingly mean people can be. And
Mm.
I know that it's because they're insecure or narcissists um or abused or whatever. I understand there's reasons why, but it just shocks me how the veil of anonymity can create people's like safety net to just be
Yeah.
terrible.
Hmm.
And when people do that in my stream, I tend to be like, "Hey, is everything all right? Like, I don't actually think you're this mean. Like, do you want to talk about something or like do you just want to hang out here and make some friends cuz we're going to be all right." Like, um and sometimes they've stayed, not for long, but I don't know. I guess it's not too weird, but you see so many spectrums of humanity on the internet, uh, everything in between that it's just things you would have never seen if you were just doing a day job, putting numbers in a data bank and then
Yeah.
submitting them to your person and, being done for the day.
Yeah. Are there some things that you wish people knew about streaming that maybe they wouldn't know or don't know?
Um, that I think it's becoming more apparent, but content creation never ends when you stop streaming or
Mm,
when you turn off the button.
yeah.
Um, Content creation, a lot of the times, because you are literally selling yourself, is self improvement outside of there, networking, self promotion in the best and most wholesome way, or not always even. Um, and community building and learnings. I spent hours, probably like 50 hours of my life learning just how to set up OBS, to just not even use it. I just used Streamlabs. I was like, F it.
That's
That's
funny.
too much work. I just spent my entire life trying to figure this out. And
Yeah.
this is like, I got it instantly. And I'm like, get hacked. But um like there's it's if even if you only streamed for 30 hours a week, I still doing 60 hours of work. And um you don't always get compensated for that in more than just financial ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, people don't see that. They just think, oh, you redid your background. Cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of invisible labor happening behind the scenes, I think. Definitely. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would say the emotional labor is the hardest one to
Hmm.
quantify, like worth versus work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Talk more about that.
Worth versus work is like a really difficult thing because uh how, like, having self-worth of what you offer and what your product is worth is something that's so difficult to quantify. Like, you can say, if I was going to work at a bank, I deserve to make $20 an hour. So then I say to myself, if I was going to work as a streamer, I deserve to make $20 an hour. But you can't force anyone to pay you,
Right.
right? So it's a free product when it comes down to it.
Hmm.
And the thing is that there are people that recognize that, and there are people that do not. And as a very important community member of mine once said, if you go to the bar all the time and you never tipped your bartender, they're probably not going to be very happy to see you.
True.
And that's not necessarily the truth, but
Yeah, well, and I think too in
um,
this like metaphor, we're not necessarily talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, not necessarily talking about financial compensation because like obviously that's not necessarily what someone can offer all of the time, but in terms of like just offering you, I don't know, kindness and generosity in terms of like their time, like I think that's huge.
I think one of the biggest compliments that you can get outside of financial compensation, and I know that you've talked about this, for your time, is people showing up, people interacting with your content to help you grow, people suggesting you to new people, reposting
Totally.
your Twitters, liking your Instagram posts, or sending you a DM saying, "I love this. Thank you for sharing that." Just taking that moment that's free, that costs them a second of their time, to affirm that I'm still, like that they still appreciate me, is just as important, I think. And it's something that easily can get kind of forgotten, which is why I usually try to make a point, like viscerally, every week, to remind my favorite content creators, like, I appreciate you, this reminds me of you, and this is for this reason. And
Hmm.
I'll be like, this reminds me of you because you're this wonderful person who always shows people it's okay to be you, or something like that. And yeah, clips is another excellent one, because that can be
Clips.
cross platformed into, so you can make it into Instagram posts, you can make it into TikToks, you can post them on Twitter. Like, there's so many things you can do to help your person succeed without ever throwing money at them.
Yeah.
And I know you know that because I was there for your meeting.
Yeah, my meeting. It's like
your
everyone
your
gather
pub.
around. Daddy made a PowerPoint presentation. Uh, yeah, no, it's and like you said, I think support takes so many different forms. And I think that they're all incredibly valid. And at the same time, realistically, if you are paying your bills with this, financial support is really important. So how do you I don't know, how do you reconcile that? Like knowing that you need money to survive in this world while also knowing that that's not necessarily something people can provide all of the time.
This is going to be probably news ish to some of the people who support me. Um, but it gets really difficult to continue the longer you go because I want this to sound like the most clear as possible without sounding any veiled tones. I feel like I need every month to create an event that is even more hyped than last month
Mm.
to in order to get the support that I need to continue. So like I've never done a 24-hour stream. I'm very against them. I think they're unhealthy. I don't think it's good for people to sit in front or even be sitting for 24 hours straight. So I'm going to be working around ways to not be sitting for 24 hours. But one of my goals for my most recent streamathon was to unlock a 24-hour stream. I would have never, I would have never done that in the past.
Mm.
Um, but I will be working on healthy ways to make sure that I'm not harming myself because again, I don't know. I know you did one, and so please don't take
Oh
it
no,
the
you're
wrong
totally
way.
good. Yeah.
You got up, you moved around, you took breaks and ate food and stuff like that, right?
Totally. Yeah. I can't imagine not
I've
doing some of that stuff, to be completely
I've
honest
seen
with you.
I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen people just sit in their chair for 24 hours straight, and I just want to cry. I
Yeah.
just that that is not good for any human to
Yeah.
just be sedentary for that long. So, um, but anyway, so it does feel like I'm constantly needing to up myself to
Mm.
get where I need to be to just be stable, and it's a really difficult feeling. Um, because I've talked about this in the past. The goal is that if I have just 500 people or whatever a month say, here's my $5, then I don't need to rely on tips. I don't need to rely on bits. They can just be something fun that people can do when they want to. Or if people are like, you know what, had a really excellent stream today. Here's a this. You know what I mean? That's the goal. It's just, it's hard. It's so hard to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's I don't know, like you said, it's something that's constantly changing in terms of what you can expect and what you can't expect. So,
Yeah, you literally just can't
yeah.
expect. There's no stability to Twitch, and there's
Hmm.
no rhyme or reason as to why that there is none.
Yeah. How do you give yourself a break? How do you be kind to yourself when you're constantly trying to kind of improve things and up the bar?
It takes having a bit what I it takes what I have calling a bad stream to kind of remind myself of where I came from. And I want to say that because to me a bad stream is going to look different than anyone else, but we all know what that feels like if we do content creation.
Mm.
Whether it's you make a post and nobody interacts with it, or nobody shows up for stream, or you whatever that looks like too.
Yeah.
um it's in those moments where I go, damn, that sucked, but you know what, last year I was only streaming to 2 people,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I've made so many friends along the way that have helped me to get where I am, and I am improved as a human being because of them. um Having my Discord to just basically, I know it's like not good streamer etiquette to be very open and vulnerable about my feelings all the time. I get approached by like people who are trying to protect me saying, you should maybe be a little bit more exclusive, or you should be a little bit more reserved. And I just always say that wouldn't be genuine to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to cry on stream, I'm going to cry on stream.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be ashamed of being vulnerable and being a human, because that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah.
um and having the Discord for the days that are hard for me to be like, dang, well, we did our best, and I'm kind of sad, but I guess we'll just try again tomorrow, and then be like, we got it, Cat, like, we'll see
Yeah.
you there. Having that community to fall back on when times are hard, definitely is like my cornerstone you
Yeah.
know
Well, just a moment that I witnessed and was kind of a part of with that for you was the method stream. And this big stream with thousands of people watching. The race to world first 80, right, for the Wrath of the Lich King launch. So this amazing opportunity for you. And also a place where this chat is not your chat. These are people that are not your people necessarily. And so to be able to be behind the scenes of that with you and see the kind of support that you got in your Discord while you're live doing this event, it was really lovely and beautiful to see everyone kind of like rally behind you in that moment, you know?
yeah. I said to them, this could change my life or we'll just be back to normal tomorrow. And as it turned out, it was back to normal tomorrow.
Hmm.
But the thing that did change my life was every time that I had that butterfly, in my stomach going up my throat when and I'd squeak a little when I talked or I stumble on my question, I would look over and see the little cat ears in the message chat flapping back and
Yeah,
forth and be like, I'm here for them anyway. I don't care about all the people I've never met or don't know. I'm here for them, and I
yeah,
know that they are so proud to see me up here. There's those ears,
absolutely. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it
There
was
they are. Yeah.
almost nonstop. It was almost nonstop. I was like, "There's a cat person. There's a cat person. There's a cat
Yeah.
person. There's a cat person." And I had people that weren't in my community even say, like, "You had so many of your community there with the ears.
Yeah.
Like, we see that. We see them." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I got the good ones."
It was really
And
beautiful.
then,
It's really
and we
cool.
share so many of them
We
that we got the good
do.
ones.
I feel very lucky to share a community with you. Well, and thank you also for sharing your community with me.
I
I just, yeah, it means a lot that your support of me and my stream has meant a lot, and you have brought a lot of your people to my stream. So thank you for that. It really does mean so much.
It was my favorite though when I had like a 400 person like raid to you the day you were in Nomergon
Oh my
for
God, you
Seasons of Mastery,
like
and your
so
face.
mean. It's actually really nice, but also I was just like,
No, I know the feeling because you're like, ah,
I'm like trying
I
to
was
like
losing
heal
them,
these bros in a hardcore fucking
which
dungeon.
I had just died in,
I
by
know
the way.
Nomergon is
I had
spooky.
just
If you don't
It's
play
terrible.
hardcore, it's by like it's notorious for killing hardcore characters. And this lovely woman gives me a giant raid when I'm in the middle of healing all these bros that I don't even know. Like, yeah, it was great. It was amazing.
That's one of my favorite parts of content creation though, and it's something that I really try to stick to, and sometimes I deviate from, but
Mm,
whenever possible, I always love rating somebody who doesn't have a lot of people talking to them because their reaction, their excitement, their genuine like so happy to receive my community, even if they only kind of like hang out for a little bit. Um, they're like, "Holy cow! Like I never had this many people in my stream." Like, and it's not that it makes me feel good, it's that I remember what that feels like
mm,
to get that raid of 20 people and you're like, "Oh my gosh, best day ever." Like
yeah.
I'm not, like finally somebody to talk to, and whenever possible we do that because I tried the whole raid the biggers and raid up and whatever, and it takes literally that first time for someone to look at your rate of 28 or rate of 50 or even a rate of 100 and not even say thank you for it to be like, I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Gonna take my people to Abbers, to Diversion, to Iron Biscuit, like
Yeah.
who, all the to Liz, where they're gonna be like, thank you, and it just makes my day. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah. What is your advice for streamers who are just starting out or streamers with a lower viewership than you? What kind of takeaways have you had that you think might be helpful to them?
It's really difficult because I guess it depends what your goals are as a streamer. If
Mm,
your goal as a streamer is to just be able to create a small community to talk to when you are gaming, is totally different than your goals if you want to become a content creator that is relying on it for your income. I could probably write a very scuffed book about it, to be honest, because I've been in both positions
hmm.
and I probably don't even have all of the insight or ability um, to really to navigate that well. you know if your goal is just to focus on community first and it's not a financial thing, being genuine, being available, and whatnot, and always um being kind and inviting people and making sure they feel included is totally different than if you're trying to make it a financial obligation and you have to set a strict schedule and you
Yeah.
go live every day at the same time and you always promote on the same social media sites and you always you know network with your 20 people or 10 or people that share similar audience or similar goals as you. It's just there's just so much stuff that I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing though is decide what you want and stick with that goal to fruition as best as possible.
Yeah. I like that. Well, and then kind of along the same lines, what is some advice you would give your younger streamer self? What are some things that you wish you had known when you started out?
Man. Um I don't to be gentler to
Hmm.
myself, to not force myself to stay live when I didn't want to be live. Like I when I hit partner, I would sometimes stream 3, 4 hours longer than I wanted to just to make sure I hit my average numbers.
Yeah.
Um, that's so hard emotionally. Like by the time I hit partner, and it's true, they say this all the time. By the time you hit partner, a lot of times you're so burnt out that a lot of people like end up quitting.
Wow. Because of
They
that
just
partner
like
push.
they got their check mark and they're like, I can't anymore. I did it. Streamed every day. I did 17 days straight recently.
Wow.
Um, and by the end, I was like, what am I doing? Why
Yeah.
am I working this much? Why am
Yeah.
I doing 80 hours, in this amount of time? And why am I not being more gentle to myself? And I
Yeah.
wish that, people just enjoy the journey, remember and relish all the moments. Don't get lost in, only the highs, right? Like you have to have the lows to really feel the highs. Um, but then to live still in that middle. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that's where you're going to be most of the time is in that middle. Just be present there when it's happening.
Yeah. That's great advice. People of Twitch chat, in a minute here, I'm going to open it up for some questions for you. So if you have any questions for Kat, go ahead and type them into chat and we'll get to those in just a minute here. Um, One other question, or maybe a couple of other questions. Do you have any pre stream, post stream rituals? Are there things that you do to kind of get ready for stream or things to like wind down after?
Yeah, I don't have post stream rituals necessarily, although I should because uh I have a tendency to disassociate after a stream for a while anyway,
I
but
have heard
it's
that
not
from
it's
so many people, by the way. You are not the only one I've heard that from. That's really funny.
this is gonna be so silly, so I'm sorry in advance to anyone that's just learning this now. But every day before I press go live, or well, I have a 10-minute countdown usually. Um, I stand or sit here in front of my computer and say, no matter what happens today, it doesn't make you less of a person, and it doesn't make you more of a
Mm,
person. You're exactly who you are.
yeah.
I am beautiful. I am strong. I am brave, and that's what I say to myself. And even though if it's like fake it till you make it, like it's like all these mean voices in your head saying you're never gonna do it, you don't deserve it, why do you do this? It's nope. I have to. There, I owe this to myself. I deserve what I am to be.
Yeah.
You know.
Those
So
affirmations can be so powerful, honestly. Any goals or future projects that you have in mind for your stream?
I just hit a major goal, which was a financial goal, not a stream goal. I for the first time ever hit 1,000 subs in a month, which is insane.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Um, I had a month that was closer to that I really wanted to escape from because the source of a major source of the subs that I got that month, which was my highest month ever, came from an abusive source.
Mm,
They were using it as a way to like harass and belittle me. So emotionally breaking free of that sort of my greatest success came at the terms of my abuser feeling was really really strong for me.
yeah.
I would love to continue to grow, uh, but as it is, I think it's very difficult to grow on Twitch alone, and I have enough without without adding 7 more websites to my rotation. I just have enough content and time invested into this that I don't know that I need it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I got a couple questions here. Maddie Brady says, I'm wondering about the chickens in general. I love that. Are they house pets, farm pets? What is it like having them? What is their deal? I'm very curious.
All right, so I actually this is kind of a little tearjerker, but um, I've lost both of my brothers. My older brother passed away when I was younger, and then my younger brother died right at the beginning of my streaming career. And the chickens were a present for my uncle's children, and they neglected them, so I took over. Um, when my brother died, because they don't live in the same like area as me, they live on a farm a couple miles out of town. They were my only real reason to get out of bed. It was deep in the pandemic. It was miserably cold. It was like that spring of the beginning of the pandemic, March, April, and I didn't have any like reason to leave my house except them. And so those chickens and Liz like literally kept me from, I don't know, just disappearing. They're wonderful. As a pet, they are so intelligent and they are so emotional. I think there's this funny thing about birds because birds don't normally trust people, right? You see birds out in the wild and they fly away instantly and you're like, okay, well, it's just a bird. But
Hmm.
when a huge flock of birds trusts you, you're kind of like, oh, am I a bird too? You know, like you see me as one of them. So my chickens are super handleable. They're very friendly. I take Liz's children out there, and they could just grab them and stick them under their
Hmm.
armpits, and they're just like nice about it. Um, and they're funny little stream additions every once in a while. You know, bring a chicken home. Who has a chicken? You know, just like look at that. There's a freaking chicken in Cat's house. Uh,
Amazing.
so they're great pets. They're messy. Um, I wouldn't recommend them as a house pet by any means because I did have Oreo in my house for about 3 months. Um, and I loved her dearly, but it was time for her to find a house outside. So
Yeah, that's
a lot of
understandable.
chicken poop.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, birds in general are messy, so I can see that. One more question here. T Miller 626 wants to know, do your tattoos have stories that you're willing to share?
Of course. For the most part, most of my tattoos kind of are just like, oh, they're pretty stickers, and I love them. I'm a witchy, druidy kind of lady. I have a couple tarot cards, and I have some different animals and moons. And I just realized I have. Someone was like, I like your two cats tattoo, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And they were like, no, no, the other two cats. And I was like, oh, I have them twice. I forgot about that. Um, but this one, my Zelda Hearts, is my most important story, and um that is because my first brother was born with cerebral palsy and he passed away due to neglect within my family. At and Our game together was Zelda. He was deaf and dumb, um, and partially blind, but he really liked Zelda. He liked like hiya hiya. He would crack up and just laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. And he was my guardian angel on Earth, and I do believe that, even though I'm not a religious necessarily person, but that he is my guardian angel. Um, when he passed away, I got this tattoo because it symbolizes how we have our master's journey to go on. We can't just quit, but we did get hurt a little along our way. And that's why part of our heart is missing. So we have to still fight, but that's not without saying that you didn't get hurt.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, Another question here. Frantical wants to know, is that an Okami plush and where did you get it?
I actually have no idea where I got this. It's a chibi Tarasu, the puppy version of it. I think I
Very
might have got
cute.
it at like Anime Con or something like that. I'm a big like nerd gamer kind of collector stuff. I have this, which we may recognize from the World of Warcraft, which is the Sprite Darter pet.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's like one of like 10,000 or something, super rare, but I don't know. I had to have it because Night Elf main and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
I have a Okami tattoo as well, but you can't really see it. So
Great. I think we've got one more, maybe. Or no, but just a comment. The VODs where you call chickums from the trees is one of my favorite surprises.
Yeah, the chickens know my voice, and when I call, they come running. But chickens are kind of like bowling balls on chopsticks when they walk, so they wobble back and forth like doop doop doop. And they need to use their wings to kind of keep themselves from falling over. It's quite hilarious. So
Love it. And we have a lot of Okami fans in the chat. Beautiful. That's one I need to play it. I've heard it's very good.
it's a great game. I really recommend it. The art style is amazing.
Looks beautiful. Yeah. All right. Well, we're wrapping things up here. I'd like to end with a little rapid fire questionnaire. So these are just some kind of quick and dirty questions. This is a 10 question questionnaire. It is inspired by James Lipton and Bernard Pivot and CJ the X. So, Aprikitkat, which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
World of Warcraft.
I figured.
Is that what you?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep. Which game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
I think that was Warcraft 3 because I almost rage quit that day. That was like the worst experience I ever had on a stream because of all the people trying to micromanage me. I was like, gonna go have a moment and cry here for a while about this.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
It's in genuine, kind people and brilliant banter.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Dull conversation and lack of compassion.
Which streamer would you like to meet most IRL?
I mean, you.
Come on.
I'm serious.
That's cute.
I really think that there's a lot of really great, wonderful people that I really appreciate, but I don't know that necessarily our values are all in line, and I don't think that I would have any problems instantly being friends with you. So
Let's do it. I'm here for it. We'll figure that out. We can arrange
nice.
it. What is something you would like to try on stream but you never have?
Like a really nicely done IRL stream, which we're working towards, but I have to buy a laptop. But I wanna just chat like slice of life POV kind of. So
Yeah. What is something you would never want to do on stream?
um I would never want to do a self-exposing stream like a hot tub stream or anything like that. Like even if I was covered, I'm not emotionally tempered enough to prepare myself for the amount of just repercussions emotionally that would come of that, if that makes sense. It's not that I think that it's good or bad or anything. I just don't have the mental fortitude to deal with it.
Yeah. Why do you go live?
Because I think that my purpose in life is to help people feel safe about who they are and where they deserve to be, and to help them find happiness, whether that means never coming back because they're good finally, or nesting into Meowtown and becoming part of the walls. I just want to see people be happy.
Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
Because if I didn't, I'd have people DMing me like, "Streamer, when you pushing the button?"
I love that. All right, final
No,
question.
no. Can I really actually
Absolutely.
though for that?
Please, yes.
Okay, yes. I struggled very difficultly with my mental health, especially my anxiety and my depression. And I noticed that this is the only job that I've ever had that I've ever been able to work so hard at. But if I missed a day, that it's gonna be okay. I would have probably lost some jobs working in restaurants or working in offices, because there are days where my brain is just so dark, so mean that I I would have been like, I can't come in, and I would have lost my job. And I couldn't be more appreciative to the fact that I can provide myself mental relief on days that are just really hard, right?
Yeah.
This is the only job I think that I've been able to do that. I can do that. So
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that and that you've been able to find that for yourself, because that's a really beautiful, wonderful thing. All right, final question. You're on your deathbed. You know exactly how much time you have left. You have any and all resources that you need available to you. Viewer count doesn't matter. Commercial viability doesn't matter. None of that matters. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
I think I just would turn the camera to a beautiful sunset and just talk until I didn't talk anymore. I wouldn't want it to be, like a finality or like a darkness. I would want it to be like a beautiful ending, a sunset. So
I love that. Aprikitkat, thank you for telling us why you go live. This was such a
thank you for
pleasure.
having me.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah,
such an honor.
I'm so excited for all these questions on another side. And if I may request, I think that you should have whoever you trust to take your role sometime and ask you those questions too.
I would love to. I'm thinking about long-term future. I'm like, that would be a good like episode 100 or some sort of like marker, you know? So yeah, we'll make it happen. I think it'd be fun. But really thank you for taking the time, and thank you for your honesty and just for giving us a little bit of insight into your life. Like it really is an honor, and it's really beautiful to be able to get to know you more. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I had a lot of
Yay.
fun.
Chat, we did it. First episode. Check it off the list. If you want to go follow Aprikitkat, which of course you do, duh, here are all of the different socials that she is on. So go to her Twitch, go to her Twitter, go to her Instagram, go to her TikTok. I'm sure you've got other links as well, but definitely go give her a follow.
Those are the main ones.
The main ones?
Thank
okay,
you.
awesome. Of course, yeah. My pleasure. With that, as will become tradition with Why We Go Live, is there someone you would like us to pass the love to? Is there someone you'd like us to raid right now?
I didn't even really look.
And that's okay if
not. There's two people I think are really nice streamers that are live right now, and the first one is Cherry Warrior, who's playing hardcore WoW, and then also Heelplix, and she is a wonderful content creator. She's, I believe, Swedish, and she's just so fun and so kind and nice to hang out with. And so I could link them, and you could pick, or maybe the chat could pick if they wanted
that.
to.
Yeah. By the way, Eden Roar, thank
You know
so
Cherry
much
Warrior,
for the
right?
gifted sub. I do know Cherry Warrior, and I don't know the other person that you're talking about, Heelsplix. So yeah, I don't know. Chat, do you have any preferences, any thoughts? Part of me is thinking Heelsplix just because it's someone I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to get to know someone new.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I would say she's a great choice, and she will be so pleased. You'll get that really genuine, awesome reaction.
Okay, perfect. So let me open up her stream real quick so that I have it, because that's I always love when I raid someone and I don't actually have their stream open, and then I get like ad blocked. I'm like, oh no. So team, do me a favor. If you could, here's your raid message. We're gonna all shout Aprikitkat sent us. Okay. So here we go. Do that. If I can type. Typing is easy to do under pressure. Don't worry about it. Okay, there we go. So that's your raid message. Everybody spam it. Do the things. Do the stuff. And we're going to get this raid going. Heels, Plix. Boom. Perfect. On it. Twitch chat, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you all. If you're watching this or listening to this after, this is a podcast that is streamed live on twitch.tv/AbbersM2, twitch.tv/ABBERSM2. And if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on this show, you can send an email to whywegolive@gmail.com. So that's WHYWEGOLIVE@gmail.com. Y'all are beautiful. Thank you so much. We're going to get this raid going. Aprikitkat, thank you again. I really appreciate you. Really love you. Everyone, see you over there. See you in the chat, okay? Okay. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.